with Jen and Allison. And Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Jennifer Laflin. I'm a medium psychic. I have been in Scarborough, working in Scarborough for about 5 or 7 years. Don't remember. They all blend together at my age, and that's okay. I welcome you to this. We're going to do a little description as to what a reading is, and then we're going to go into a reading. So,
Okay.
look at you.
This is Allison's first time. Allison, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi. Great friends with Stacie. Never done this before.
Yeah.
So she's a newbie.
A newbie. But
Have you ever had any types of reading before?
no.
No
Oh,
nothing?
nice.
No, I just have people all the time when I'm out and about always saying you bring good energy and thank you. Whatever that means. I don't know. Don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess then we'll take it away with Jen.
Okay. So what I want to describe is at the beginning of every session, um, I I always come in with the highest and the best of the person that I'm doing a reading for. I certainly don't want to be leading in with anything that would cause harm to somebody, and so that's I just come in and everybody gets relaxed in here, and then we're either laughing, crying, or just wanting to stay longer. So I'm a medium. I hear, feel things that are coming in from spirit. I do get information from spirit. Now, whether that is from images or sounds, taste, smells. Sometimes spirits will come in and use my history of memories to link in what was similar to the client's history, and so that's more of the I would call it the more of the information that I get from the spirit itself through its own energy. It also links in with the person I'm reading with their energy. So as I read somebody, start to read somebody, I don't know if they're male or female that's coming through. I just understand the feeling of the energy that they can give me. And then they start giving me the images or the thoughts of what they were here on earth. So that's more relatable. The psychic part is more of, to me, is what happened in the past, what's happening now, what's happening in the future, and it gives I can tell a client what is going to be happening in that time frame, but I cannot make the client or anyone for that matter make a decision on what's the best choice for them. I can say these are the two choices and this is the way it is. So I always call it as your peeps, meaning your spirits, your guides, your angels, whoever you work with through your lifetime. Your peeps connect with my peeps, same thing, and they have a conversation and they relay the information to me the quickest, the fastest, and they try to be as accurate as they can. If not, and when I'm not accurate, then I don't mind that. I'll say if I'm not, please tell me, because then I'll have them switch into a different topic, or I'll switch into a different spirit. So and they come in all at once sometimes, and sometimes they trickle in one at a time. So I don't have a memory of a lot of the information that I am looking at. As far as once I do the reading, a lot of the information is erased from my mind. The person's personality that I'm sitting with, I'll remember that, but I won't remember things that have been said and occurred. So there's a lot of feed processes that it goes through, and yes, they are in control of everything. Not that I am not physically or mentally here. It's just that when they talk to me, it's like trying to follow 20 people talking at the same time. You're there and you're trying to absorb as much information, and then you're trying to relay it. So if anybody's ever done that, then that can be somewhat difficult at times, tiring. But so I always have everybody to record, because if I ask you a name to bring forth, you tell me the name, and it could be 15 seconds later and I'll go, what was the name again? Because they erase things that quickly for me. So that doesn't mean that that soul is not still there for me.
Okay, and my understanding is we have free will. So whatever even the spirits say, we get to choose what path we want or we desire. And we can make decisions based on our free will.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I see it as like, I can give you the information and you may say, no, I'm not going to, you're thinking it might happen within the next 6 months.
There's no time.
But because you've put such a slow process to it, it won't happen for another year, let's say, because that's when you're ready for it. And I'm saying,
based on when you're ready for it then. Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So there's a balance of, just because somebody and this is in real life, just because somebody tells you something does not mean that that's the direction you need to go either. So there's different paths to life, and you may start down that path, but make a decision to change your direction of life. And again, that's your choice to do that.
And my understanding is even when card reading is, that's just one possible path. You have many paths you could take, and it's again free will. So it's your choice if you choose to take that path.
Yeah. If you decide to continue the way you're going, you'll be here doing the same thing next year, a year later, or 6 months later. And most of us, myself, I don't like moss growing under my feet. So I will always be changing the direction that I need to be going in. So that's my thing. But I'm not one that's very consistent on normalcy. But sorry, Spirit will also give me they will also give me. Sorry, we're having some issues with lighting. Surprised.
That's a spirit trying to talk to us, and we don't know what they mean.
Well, they're pretty definite. They like, let's get going, and I'm like, well, we can do that.
Well, that's the mom problem.
Let's say for instance, like their time frame is like immediate response, and we're always thinking we have to finish the sentence in order to get the response. And they're already there. They've already been there, done that, and we're kind of sitting here dragging stuff on.
With the light, I mean, people don't understand too, is that's how sometimes spirits are communicating with you. And me myself, sometimes I'm so oblivious to it. You really have to knock something on my head before I understand. Oh yes, I get it. You're here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I tell everybody, don't if something happens, don't run screaming, because that's a fear response, and that doesn't do anything for you either. So I say, just if it happens, it happens, and you go, oh, I get it. But
smells too.
Smells, taste.
I used to have smells when I think it was my meme that was by my bedside, and it was a flower, and it was always once in a while. Yes, we get it. I think we're gonna have to keep turning that on.
Is it on a timer, you think?
You may have done it on a timer.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it.
I'll just get up and do it, and then maybe you might want to get to the reading, because I think it's going to keep happening.
It is going to keep happening anyway. So I'm going to say, I don't look. Oops, I'm sorry. I dropped my stuff. I don't usually look at people when I read, because it's something that makes me rely on your reactions to get a reaction, or your reaction that will lead me down this path. And it's more if I can look at spirit, and then they will lead me down where I need to be. So this is the way I always start my whole thing. And I know you're super nervous, and I know we've had a little bit of a conversation because your mother was harping on me a little bit earlier, and she claims she's not a harper, but she can be really pushy, like notice me kind of a thing. And I say that in a very loving way, by the way. When a spirit will come through, they stay on the outside of where these chairs are in my office. And so they will put themselves in a location in the room. So like if your mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle come through, let's say your mother comes through and she decides to sit on the chair across the way, I will point to that and say, that's where she's at. if she gets up to move, I'll say, oh, she's quite the pacer, like she's all over the room. So I'll be looking all around the room where I feel the energy or where I feel she is to be. And they usually like, they love being closer to the human energy because it gives them a lot more strength about doing things. So I think that light is just going to be, we're going to have to fix on that a little bit later, but I hope it doesn't bother what's going on here. So anyway, let's get back to this. So they will come in, they will give me names, and I'm not one that's very good with names or filling out the names. I will give pieces of the names, and if I do get a name, I'm very, very excited.
Go ahead.
Okay. And so the thing that we're here with is that I have not read her before. I have not had any inkling of her other than the fact that her mother showed up in spirit form here and gave me a list of things of her. And I'm not going to read that list here because I'm going to go into other facets. This was a way to kind of clear house, and she wanted me to make sure that I got the information to her and other things. So there are some there. I'll try not to get too super personal about things, but I will also, when I touch upon like a past, it doesn't mean that I want you to cry or anything. It just means that they're bringing it up because it's something that you both would know about. It's not like, oh, we scored a big one and you're crying and we're going to dwell on that forever and you need therapy 20 more years. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So we're not in here to hurt somebody. We're here to calm things down and give direction to life. So you might think it's not in depth, but we're going to see what mom has to say about it because mom's very prevalent. And so what is your mom's first name?
Sally.
Sally. Okay. I'm going to write that down so I don't forget Sally's name. Okay, and this is the stuff my mom gave me, but I'm not going to do anything about it. But I will look down.
Setup for podcast.
I'm like bling. So Sally's very much of a emotion person or an emotional person. She can evoke a lot of emotion from you or trigger a lot of emotion for you. Does that make sense? And she also comes in, and I'm going to say she's coming in and she wants you to understand that you gave her opportunities for her to come into your world many times, and she's sorry that she didn't take those opportunities. She said that those opportunities were missed times that she could have grown as a human being. And she said that I was always in the critique mode, or I was always going, what are the Joneses or the Smiths going to think? Does that make sense? And she's also coming in and saying, I'm very, very sorry for pulling you into a world that you definitely didn't belong in. Everybody has their own direction to go in. And she goes, and I'm sorry that I didn't do that. She is pacing for me back and forth. She's come over here. She's come over here. She prefers to sit in this chair right next to you, but that's okay. You can stay there. She wants to sit next to her daughter. She's asked me to leave a few times. So we'll see what happens to the other lights around here. But she has asked to sit down. She wants to meld with your energy. And she's not saying, I'm sorry, woe is me. This will make me feel better. She's saying, I'm sorry, because it will make you feel better. She doesn't want to come in and say that there's a whole lot of things. She said there were some confrontations with your siblings or the people that were living in the same house with you and you. Does that make sense? There's a contrast difference between the two. She said you even learn differently. You're smart, but you're not that super book smart kind of a thing, but you're really intelligent. She said it's not that you and you dumbed down because you kept quiet a lot, and that caused a lot of discomfort for you of the feeling of being displaced inside your house, like you feeling displaced. There was a point in time, and I don't know if it's 15 years or 16 years, where you actually thought that you were going to take off and run away from home. Like, I'm done with all of this. Does that make sense? And she said that, that's when things started to go a little awry in the house. And she was also talking about the number 9 or the 9th month or September, or there's something happened at the 9 years of age, because we were talking about age right then and there. She's saying that she's sorry that she didn't stop somebody from causing you more pain. And you know what that means, she said. So I'll just leave that with you. And she's saying, but she's also bringing in that the fact that you could come into a room, and this is where she kind of was like, everybody kind of likes seeing you because you came into a room and you kind of like, as you would say, light up the room. You kind of like bubbly, like, woohoo, life is good,
She glows.
But she's like, and I miss that. I miss that aspect of things. And she said there were times you felt like you were left out of family things, like nobody would invite you into the reindeer game kind of scenario. So she's also apologizing for that, because there is when you remove somebody from your life and just to cause them pain, and you don't remove that person because that person does cause pain, but you're removing them to cause you pain, that's a whole different story. So she said that's what was happening in your house. Does that make sense? And she said that it gave you the sense of not finding a home. So what I call it is you always have boxes in your house. And she said, but there's a coming into this mode of life right now that you're going to be finding home things. And wherever you go, you're always going to feel, I always say to the travelers, which you're like a traveler for me, that you can go to city to city to city and meet a bunch of people and make a lot of friends and all this other stuff. I said, and all of those 20 cities that you went to creates a home for you. And so your home life is not what you have for family, it's who you make along the way. So she's telling me, she goes, I wish that I could have been her friend. And so she said, please ignore the rest of them in the family, because there's not a good balance in there. There's not a lot of history for you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, she's laughing. She's going, Maine, brr, Maine, brr. So I'm not sure if she's overly crazy about Maine, but there's like a not so happy, and she's more of a beach lover as the sun or something like that. She's like out there in the sun. She talks about, somebody with dyslexia, or the turning of words or the twisting of words. And I don't know if she twisted words to make them sound differently, or, like you'd say this, mom, and then mom would turn it around so that she could stomach the words. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, no, I didn't say that. And she goes, yes, you did. I heard exactly what you said. So, but she said, I know my daughter loves me. And she said, there's more love in my daughter's heart. And she goes, and I wish that I could have been in that opportunity for that. And she says, you do come see me. She goes, hey, mom, hi, mom, hey, mom, hey, mom. And she likes to stop in and visit with you. I don't know if you're aware of that, her being around, but she's really excited about, that sense that you're getting. She says, you're starting to open up a lot more in your thoughts. And she said, you're letting a lot more come in, and you're realizing that. And so the spirituality, or the religious, or whatever you want to call it, your belief system that you have here is becoming more pronounced. Does that make sense? It's like, woohoo, this is what life is all about. And you're really excited about, because there's been some changes, and you've been feeling like you've been stuck in the mud, and you feel as though that, like, I know there's more to out there than meets the eye. And you usually get this, like, you'll stay at a place not even 3 years, and you're already looking out, like looking over the fence to find something else coming up. But you feel so familiar, and there's like almost like somebody cocooning you here. Like you feel very kind of safe here, but there's been something that just happened recently that makes you unsafe. Does that make sense? And it was not something you warranted it, or that you requested it to come in, but you're handling it pretty nicely, by the way. Kudos to you. Although you're like, I just want to burn a house down. You know what I'm saying? Okay.
Wow, that sounds just like her.
Like, I just want to burn the house down, and that's okay. But at the same token, your whole well-being has changed. Your health has changed. Your thought processes have changed. Your mother is such a runner. She's all over the place here. And she's talking about your dad. Is your dad passed also?
No.
Has her father's passed, correct?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a man that's coming over behind her. And who's the horses, by the way?
The what?
Horses.
Horses.
Yeah. What's the horses? What's the farm?
It was like Enfield, New Hampshire.
like a farm. I'm hearing horses. Anyway, so he's coming through with that. Your grandfather, your mother's, whatever's.
Dad.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Is that? I'll leave that with you. And who's Edward or Eddie, or is that for you?
I don't know. I have a cousin named Eddie.
Okay.
Or a great uncle.
Is the horses for you too? Okay. Well, if it is, just let me know.
Yeah. No.
Because sometimes I just pick things up.
Vincent loves
place.
horses. He used to have a place next to Concord.
Okay. So there's all this coming through. Your mother's trying to keep everybody out, by the way. This is her show,
Oh.
which is not unusual, by the way. Just letting you know. She said that you have a very childlike outlook on things, and suggests that you don't lose that, like the innocence part of things, like you're looking at it and you're going, wouldn't that be fun, just like to jump off a cliff, just because you can, and everybody else is like scare,
Mm-mm.
but you don't operate under fear.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
I like it.
Yeah, and so she's talking about that's the childlike kind of thing that you have, and she hopes that you never lose that aspect of it, the curiosity, the willingness to do things, as long as you're not getting hurt, by the way. And we're all going to get hurt. Don't get me wrong. We're all going to feel discomfort in our lifetime, and that's okay.
You can't grow without that.
You can't, and you'll find that there are people that are just staunch and they're stuck and they're repeating the same thing as what they repeated last year. And that's when some of us get a little bit bored of it, because, it's a repetitive note. Lord knows I do repeat a lot. So I'm in that group sometimes. And who's the Julie or the JU name? Jules?
I have all my 21-year-old son is Oliver Julian.
Okay. All right. And that's your mom bringing it up, by the way. It's very cool. But anyway, there was a conversation that you were having about going to a different location or packing things up and moving to a different location. And she says, make sure you're leaving for a good reason, or a reason that helps you grow, instead of like something that you're going away from, because that irritation that you're going to have here that you're living with and you want to go away from is always going to be there. It's not going to end, and it's just going to be constantly.
That's what I said to you.
And
there you are.
It's just going to follow you, because if this irritation was a little irritation here, the next place you go will be a little more amped up irritation, until you realize that this is no longer serving your soul contract. And your soul contract is what you agreed with before you were born, with all the people that are in your life nowadays, right now. And so that soul contract, if you go, oh, I'm not done with, running, then every lifetime you'll be running. And so this lifetime you've decided not to, because you like the number 9s, by the way. You like odd numbers, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So there's a lot of closure stuff happening to you anyway. This year's closure anyway, but you have to close it in the healthiest way for yourself. Instead of running away from it, you're going to be facing it and saying, I'm done with that. Let's say you have an argument with somebody, and they're always arguing the minute they see you. I always say, if they start arguing, going, oh, I see you still talking about that. Okay, all right. And then you walk away. Like, you don't give it audience, which is what you've been doing lately.
Mm-hmm.
Audience. And there's no more audience. You know that, right? Your mother actually sitting right here for me now, and she's going, you tell her, and she's got her legs like this, she's leading into you, and she's going, you tell her. And so I'm going to tell you that she is telling you that this is your year to step up to the process, face the process, and deal with it, and be done with it. And
kind of what I've been saying to you.
I've not talked to her about you at all. She just said she's coming. I have no clue as to who you are, what you're doing. And again, they wipe everything away to my head, so I wouldn't serve a purpose. That's why I wrote it down. And I haven't been writing down for a while, so this is kind of odd for me recently. Anyway, so there's a lot of things that you're catching up on, because you're going, oh, I finally said no to that, or I finally said yes to that, and then something else pops up, and it's not like, oh, it's cropping up, it just pops up in front of you. So that's because those are the number of things that you've put on the back burner. So now's the time to deal with it. I don't care what it is. I don't care if you owe somebody $20, pay the $20. Is it worth it? Yes. You know, like, is having a relationship with somebody, is that person growing with you, or are you bored of them because you're just bored with them, or what? I mean, that person may not be growing at the same speed as you. That includes kids. So sometimes kids come into your life and they're great, and they you blend well with them, but then they grow into an adulthood kind of a thing, and then they start forming a lot of opinions, and they should, but sometimes
It's not in line with
we
what
don't do it then. Yeah, we're not in line at that time because the growth pattern can be so quick. And so, but yeah, your mom's just kind of laughing, going, she kind of has people around her that are like her. It's kind of like challenging for you. Does that make sense? Because sometimes you want people to listen to you, but they don't. Make sense? And all you have to do is say, enough is enough. Whether you say it to you or to somebody else. So there's a lot of, and I can say, we can talk about career changes and things like that, but this year for everybody is massive changes coming in, massive changes. And I wouldn't say focus in on what the political or the religious or anything else, because the changes is happening within you because you're becoming more sensitive to things that are around you. Arguments, disagreements, deaths, dealing with wills. That's been a lot lately. So there's a lot of things that people are trying to manage to put back into a place that never belonged there anyway. So I don't mind. I say let it float here a little bit, and you move forward, and then you'll find a spot for it up ahead. Nothing has to be like
concrete.
Unless you're moving, and then you're like, I'm leaving here. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And you're going, finish this and then move ahead, and then tell me if it's okay. Because you run quite a bit, you know that, right? I'm not saying you run away from things.
Part of my growing up. I always, we came from like a gypsy family. And that's just in my blood.
Mhm.
But it's not like I'm running from me.
Nope.
It's I want to keep evolving, and I'm not afraid of it.
But you haven't found what you're evolving into.
Well, because she hasn't made a decision to stay in one place to duke it out, in my opinion.
Or the opportunities just aren't. They always seem to be out of grasp. So I always feel like I have to go to where the action is, or to where it's going to serve me better.
But does
more
it?
Opportunity.
Does it?
Not really.
Well,
you can always fly.
Well,
there.
it's okay if it doesn't, because those of us who are in constant change, we can go across the street and we'll still be in constant change. It's not part of our structure to be in a relationship or in a situation that for us is very repetitive, because that's not how we operate. We're not creative, but we are creative. It depends on who we're with and what we're doing. And you'll notice that you'll change for the person next to you. So when you were sitting next to me, I was feeling like you're like, I don't know, what do you think? How do I act? Where do I go? And I'm like, there, she's running.
Mm-hmm. Well, maybe because it wasn't a safe place, like in her environment when she grew up, it wasn't safe. No. So you always had that, because I was that way too, until I made a stand and I said, no, I'm done with all that. And I make my life the way I want it to be, regardless. Like I said to her, I go, you can go across the world and there you are. It's still there you are. You have everything that made you run in the first place will continue until you make a stand and say, I am going to make this my place, my domain, my home, and I'm going to make it the way I want it to be. And you can, because wherever you go, that's what you do anyway. From the beginning, no matter where you change, that's what you're doing. But she goes back to an insecure place and then wants to dash instead of actually completing the process.
I do that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of it's a mental procrastinator.
Yeah,
I mean, that's my forte. I mean, I wear it proudly. I'm a procrastinator.
A list.
Yeah,
dues.
And I will obviously lose the list because it's not part of my forte. Yeah. I can put it on my
new one.
My phone, and I've got everything on my phone, to like the grocery list and things like that. And I mean,
no, I'm talking about like, okay, I want to expand myself this year. I'm going to go take an art class. I'm going to go take a singing class. I'm going to go take a dance class. I'm just going to go walk on the beach.
But how
That's
many
it.
people do you find in that class that you match with? That
You don't
that
know
ha-
because
that helps you?
if you don't try it, you won't know ever.
Mhm.
So you have to take that leap of faith that there's going to be one out of 20 there that will.
Well, and I think that's true, but I think those of us who are looking for all of that are their performers. I call myself a performer.
She's a performer.
You know, like we're performers. We perform and we go ta-da, you know, and here we are. And there's nobody else that's like that in the group. And so we are the performer, which makes the whole thing fun.
No, but said to me, Allison is like when she walks in the room, she's this bright
She
star.
owns it.
Oh yeah. And you either follow her or she does her own thing,
Yeah.
But just to be a part of that, even next to her, I'm doing my own thing too, but I know she's there and she's my bright star.
Right.
It's fun.
You want to clean it?
To me, that's what it is. I just look
Yeah.
over and I smile because she's doing her own thing, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, yeah, baby, go.
Yeah. And that's the way life is. It should be that way. It
Yeah.
should be like, but there's so few bright stars out there that
Yeah.
will light up a room and make something fun without, I mean, naturally.
Well, a lot of people too, either one have jealousy about because she's got that energy. Two, they
Yeah.
just think that she's flaunting or just making, wanting attention. And I know that is not her at all.
Well, that's the limitation part. I mean, when you get into a relationship, you know that person that is in that is saying things like that, they're in a very limited relationship.
A limited mindset. Too.
Limited, yeah, whatever, it's limited. And so the
Hope this
people
is
that are
helping
around
you
her,
with that.
the people that are around her are going to be, or that person is going to be very limited.
Yeah.
You know?
You have any questions though? I mean, because
Not
we're going to keep yapping
Yeah,
on.
keep going.
We're looking at the yapping part. She goes, I'm going to just dump in here and there. Good luck with that, by the way.
What? The mom jumping in for her?
Mom is coming. But who's the Robert? We have a Robert here. Little on the heavy set. Kind of like,
Or Bob, maybe it goes by Bob.
oh, Bob.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Anything Bob, Robert.
I have an
No.
uncle named Robert, but he's still alive.
Is he a little on the heavy set?
No, he's still alive.
Oh, he's
so-
still alive. Okay. No, it just, because your peeps and her peeps are coming in for sure.
Oh, what are my peeps saying?
Everything. Your son is like
Always there.
he pops in anyway. I always know he's gonna be here because he makes it feel like it's he keeps saying, just sit and listen to her for a minute. Like, don't jump in and take control. Let her be in control of everything.
Me or
Yeah,
you?
you. And she goes, he tells me just to let you kind of like, like you take the room, because this is not this, but when you come in, you have specific things you want to talk about. You have specific things you want to say.
Oh, not
and then-
today. I didn't think anything.
And
Today.
then she's got like her own agenda that she does. And when she's done, she's pretty cool, he says. Yeah. So so you come in and you're going, okay, we got to set that. We got to do this. We got to do that. I'm like, I'm just a follower. I have no clue what we're doing.
You helped quite a bit.
I can sit here and just do whatever, but I can't do your stuff. I'm inadequate with that. But, as far as lights flickering, we can thank them, by the way. But it's been pretty cool. But anyway, so, and she talks about the jelly beans or the Easter part of things. Does that make sense? Okay, she just brought up with no extension to that. So she said, you'd understand it. I have no clue about it. But she's also talking about, even though we talk about taking classes or something like that, and you're interested in it, but the repetition of doing it over and over again is boring to you. Does that make sense? Like it's like, if you're going to go, let's say, to dance class, right? You're going to go to dance class and then you go for 6 weeks and then they start all over again, even though it's dance class 2. You get, because you already know it. You lived it. You've been there. You've had lifetimes, and everybody's had a past life. I'm sorry. Every lifetime you've had, it's always you've experienced it. So your soul is an old soul, very very Broadway, if I can say that. I feel like I'm on stage kind of a thing, and
Oh my
very
gosh.
Broadway kind of a thing. And there's a lot of that's what you prefer, because even though you're on stage, you're still by yourself, and everybody's just an object out there, and then you're there not for them, you're there for you, which makes
That's
the
true.
performance or what you're doing even more meaningful. And sometimes, let's say somebody tells you, okay, pause right there, and you go, I'm going to pause, instead of 1 second, I'm pausing 3, because I know that's what's going to make that thing happen. So you're more of a director also. You're a storyteller, director kind of thing. You're like, this is the path that this should go on to. But again, people don't hold a lot of cup of tea with you, because they don't know what to do with you. Your mind, you talk about 40 different things at the same time. Your mind just is constant. You're up at 3 a.m. You know what I'm saying? Like, think, and it's like, what do I do? What do I do? And then sometimes, depression gets very deep for you in that hollow sense, and that's the lack of connectivity to a person. You understand love because you see it on TV. You fell in love, what you thought was love. It turned out to be a little bit of a road show, by the way. We'll leave that one there for a minute, a hot minute, if you want to call it. I'm not touching that potato. But that was something, but you fell in love, what you thought was love, and you've been in search of a comforting, warm blanket love feeling, and somebody who can just allow you to come dancing in the room, or just walking out the room. It doesn't matter how you went to the room, but they're always glad to see you there. But you feel like you have to be the performer for them. So part of that is like you're thinking their expectation is this, which you've got to stop doing that. Your expectation is like that. Does that make sense?
No.
Okay.
You might have to sit on that one.
Oh,
think about it.
All I know
Now that
is
you would ask questions.
I'll give you a moment. Because what they're telling me is that you change for other people. Does that make sense?
in a way, but I feel like when I'm myself, they like the energy at first. But then they fall away.
Right.
And that's why it's so hard.
They can't keep up.
I don't know what it is, but they put on this. To me, it's like they're fake in the beginning, and they can act like they're all interested, and then I am myself.
Mm-hmm.
From myself, it seems that it's not good enough for anyone, and I repel a lot of people.
It's the opposite, in my opinion.
Well, look at the individuals that you're choosing from. So do you know a lot of your lifetime, and I'm not putting insult to injury or anything,
Mhm.
but a lot of your life, it's always been about people not accepting you for who you are.
Yeah,
You see that theme?
Extremely unconditional love. I mean, conditional love.
Yeah.
And
all
that's
life.
all my life, even with blood family.
All your life.
Very conditional. And if you have to think the right thing, or you have to act a certain way, or you have to, and then if you're yourself, or if you say something wrong, they won't even give you that love to say, okay, let's work it out. They'll just wipe your hands clean of you and never look back.
Mm-hmm. And so you understand now that you're so familiar with that the traits that people that come to you end up having that condition. It's like a disease. Sorry.
Yeah. And I keep trying to.
It's kind of like
and this one with this guy that she's totally in love with. I went, nope, he's not for you.
Well, it's a thing. Every person that we're involved in, not every, 90% of the people that we're involved with that have come into our world on a very close basis is here to teach. And for some of us, we are all set in that department, but society says we can't be alone. But you have friends, but you can be very picky with your friends. You know that, right? I mean, I'm not saying I like this person, don't like this person, but you gravitate to people who don't have an agenda with you whatsoever.
No, I'm getting smarter.
And so at the same token as that, there are more and more people coming to light or coming to the surface that don't have agendas on their thing, but it's been hard to, I don't know, kind of find those people because everybody was going underground. And you know that your spiritual sense has been calling you to, okay, work on that. Okay, you're going to be working on that, by the way. I'm just letting you know. It's going to be like you're going to be viewing the dark side of yourself and the light side of yourself and coming to the point of the neither needs to change. You just have to know how to modify it just a little bit to go over it instead of going dark side, light side. You're going to go, oh, dark light, oh, dark light, dark light. So again, we're all of the dark and the light anyway, and so all that thing. But I got to say that your crescendo, I never use that word. This whole thing, thank you, Mom. So this whole thing is about your coming to a whole world of where you're going to be fitting in a lot better. And it's because you're letting go of a lot of things without, you don't have to cut people off. You just kind of go, I'll move you aside and I can pick you up later. You know, I can go back and pick it. It's like cleaning your room. You leave your room, your bedroom, come into the kitchen. You're not going back into clean it. I'll clean it later, right? And you just go back in there. Just, you know, it's no big deal.
Well, when I can deal with them later.
Yeah, you can deal with
mindset.
Later.
I can deal with it later.
Yeah, you can get into people. You'll find that you're very familiar with a particular pattern of people. I'm very familiar with a particular pattern of people. You know, I'm just, you know, I don't want anything from anybody, and nor do I ask a lot of anybody because I don't need it. It's not me. You know, you're the same way. You're just like, I just want to come in and do what I need to do. And you have a wild, wild past, though. You should be writing about that.
No, I'm surprised I'm alive still.
Wow, you should be writing about
Or
that
not on
stuff.
drugs.
Every day, take a little recorder and then have it with the AI.
Oh,
now,
the
you can just have
translated,
it translated.
If somebody, oh, it's just wild. I mean, I think everybody has a great story. I had a friend that did stories, chapters on different mediums in Maine. And so she, you know, it was interesting to find out how people ended up getting from point A to point B in their life. And I think it's wild. I think a person's past is a wild. I only get glimpses of it, but your mother's like she's solid for me. And you're not. You're like firecrackers all around her. You know what I'm saying? And she's watching it, bang, 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 bang. And she's, you know, you never know where the firecracker is going to explode, but you're watching in the sky for it and you're anticipating the joy that it brings. And she's like that. Like all these fireworks are going all over the place, but she didn't know how to enjoy that back then. You know, like that's her thing.
Yeah.
And so, you know, but you don't hate your mother. You didn't like what she did at times, but you don't hate your mother.
I'm very proud of my mom.
Yeah. And so you just kind of go in there and you go,
Well, ask Mom about her love life, where it should be going.
I gotta. Well, do you really want to know? You
She
know,
does, but
do you know where you're going?
No.
She needs a little bit of help.
She's going, I hate you right now.
I know. She really needs to have some help here.
I am really distraught.
Right. So I think she needs some help. Just a little guidance.
When you go and you spend time with anybody in your life, that moment that you're spending time with that person should be fun for you, right?
Right.
It should be enjoyment. You should not be looking at, you know, commitment. You shouldn't be looking at anything. You should just be looking at spending the moment right then and there and not having any expectations of long-term commitment, short-term commitment, nothing. You're just enjoying that person right there. It'd be like you going into the grocery store and then having a conversation with somebody in the grocery store and then asking them if they want a long-term commitment. It's crazy, right? You just have a conversation and you have fun and you leave, right? That's what we're supposed to be doing now with all of our relationships.
Everybody or just
all relationships? So this year is all about relationships, jobs, work,
no strings attached.
Everything is it comes to you and then it moves off to the side because this year's the number 9. If you add 2025 together, it's the number 9, which is the ending of all. It's the closing of chapters of things that no longer serve your purpose. You, on the other hand, are working on yourself and what you need from a relationship of any kind, right? And so you're now in observation of what you need in a relationship. So it's not whether this guy's good for you or not good for you. It's what your needs are. And before you let people come in and say, I like you, I want to be your friend. Now you're going, I'm trying to figure out if I like you, and I'm trying to figure out if I want you to be around me. That's the closing of chapters. So this year is all about that. And next year is all about new beginnings, by the way. It's the number one.
Yeah, that's
So
been
it's
coming
new
up a lot.
beginnings. So that's for you. There's a lot of, this, just enjoy what you have. Don't have any expectations,
Sounds like me, huh?
it's because whatever creates here
I
is
didn't tell her
great.
either.
Whatever is created here is only to be enjoyed for the growth of next year. This is lining you up for success for next year. Now, if you're going to hang on to the past, then you're going to be doing the same thing next year.
Right.
So is this guy good for you? I have no idea because I'm not in that relationship with you. But I will say, enjoy it. Don't make commitments of any kind, because there's something about you that wants a commitment. There's a feed to that, but then that person isn't ready for it. Does that make sense?
Well, because that will ground her and make her stay.
Well, no, I mean, that person has a hard time with commitments.
No, I'm saying that's in her mind, maybe because she's always trying to run off, but she's trying to find an anchor. And if it's a man, it will be an anchor.
She's trying to find love, and there's no love if your pieces are all apart. I know that. I've experienced it. So, it's a building year. It's a breakdown of things that you no longer need. And then there's a next year is all about growth, huge growth. And you keep saying in your head, sorry, not in your head really, but in your head, you keep saying there feels like a big change coming, and I feel like there's something big going to be changing, and I don't know what it is. And when you get that big feeling, that's you. It's not an event. It's not a volcano. It's not anything. It's you. Massive changes coming in for you. That makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
And you're uncomfortable, and you're going, I need somebody to help me support it. Well, no, you don't, because you've already created this world, and you said at this time frame in my life, I'm going to be ready for this thing to happen.
I've had to fight for everything myself.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Even things when I can't even believe.
And now you're looking for a relationship that's going to help you.
Help me, but that I can
trust
and know that it's going.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I know that it's going to stay and
Mm-hmm.
unconditionally, and it just doesn't seem to happen.
You can't make something that it isn't. Like, it would be like your mother trying to change you into a 3-piece suit. See, you're never going to do it. I mean, you can try, but are you going to be happy doing that? So I always say, don't try to change somebody. They're going to show you their spots, and then you can make a decision whether you can live with that or not. Not everybody's going to be perfect, because everybody's going to be in a different plane. And you're going to be farther ahead than most people because you have that experience in your younger generation or your younger years of trauma, tragedy, and all this other stuff in that group. And then you'll turn around and you're like, now it's time that you're starting a whole new life for yourself, by the way. You're not following the same path you did like last year, by the way. It's been a complete turnaround. It's like a life-altering situation that happened to you, and you're like, gotta do it. I gotta make something happen. So now you feel like when you dance, let's say when you dance, you're dancing more more internally, more native to yourself, more rhythmically. You're more creative with what you're doing. You're not singing a song that's this way. You're singing it with longer, soothing, almost gutturally or earth tone level sound. Does that make sense? And you do love the sound, let's say, of drumming, or that kind of, you're more into that, and it's become more pronounced for you. And so pain, you have a very good unique way of shutting pain off from your body, by the way. Pretty nicely done, which now you're going to have to understand. You're going to have to start feeling that a little bit more so that you can have that expression out there. So when you're feeling discomfort and pain, It's just part of this, your journey, by the way. You know that, right? Your journey is going to be wild. Wild.
Oh.
Wild. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, you're going to have like, you're going to have a little bit of dips and everything, but you won't get into that dip of like the depression, falling into that depression.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to have this more instead of going to spike. You're going to have more of that.
Like a low rider. Bumping.
Call it the donkey running downhill.
Oh, that's more of a bounce, though.
You like it? You get into bull rides? No kidding. But anyway, so there's a lot of lots of changes for everybody that's coming up, but it depends on how. If you're like, I'm going to take control of that change, you can't. You're just going to have the change come, and you're going to have the change leave, and it will come back, and it will come back around and around and around. Not a big deal. It's going to happen. But most people think that they have to take control, and that's the way society is right now, is a control thing. But we don't have to. We just allow it in, and we go, I need to understand that. Why am I reactive to the way that person's being treated? And you go, history, or I feel like I should be doing something. But if you have two people arguing, those two people have to be there to argue to stop it themselves. Otherwise, they're going to be back there around. And you're done with arguing and yelling and screaming and all this other stuff that happens in a relationship at times.
You're riding the wave, baby.
Yeah. Just think of it. You just kind of come in and you come and go, because it doesn't matter. You're still going to be on that ride, whether you take it gently in or you cram it all in. And cramming is not the way to go. And so you'll enjoy your partner's, whatever the relationship is, you'll enjoy your partner's calmer, and you'll see things that they will have no clue you see. Very, very nice. Very, very good balance. I mean, yeah, you've been through a lot, and not to say that it's, sucks being you, but it's kind of like you're done with it. You said, I signed up for this, and now I'm done with that, and I want something a little more reliable in my life. Well, your life has never been reliable. So what is that? What does reliable in your world mean? It's hard to distinguish. Yeah.
Do you have any questions? So, no?
She's a lot more relaxed than she was earlier.
I
gotta say.
know.
She's enjoying this one a little bit more.
I'm more of a listener.
Yeah.
That's
that growing up part too. You don't become part of the crowd. You become the outskirts of the crowd, and then you step in.
I mean, I'm just myself, and people look at me like, "Oh my gosh,
yeah,
look at her. What's she doing?"
They have no clue. They don't have any idea. You just who you are. But your mom is very has been there long enough to understand the soul and the harm that, or not the harm, the joy and the heartache that it can cause a person here on earth. And she didn't realize that her footsteps were so deep in you, like crunch, crunch, crunch. She thought she was just going along the surface, and I just didn't realize that I was causing that much discomfort and pain for her. And she's learning. She's on a learning curve. Was she the Cancer?
What?
Was she Cancer?
Horoscope?
No,
did she have cancer?
Yeah.
Okay, because she's going Cancer. She's going Cancer with me. She's going up and through here. But she had it in another location. She had a couple of locations, right? Because it started, she's going, she goes in through here, and then she's going like sprout.
Yeah, it started with the lungs. And then
she was the one that was making me cough earlier.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not a medical intuitive, but I do feel people's things. I can feel things medically aspect of it, but I'm not a medical intuitive. I just know things. Like they'll come through, and then earlier when I was doing the writing of this, I was feeling, I kept coughing and coughing and coughing, and I'm like, oh, this is irritating, because again, it's their representation of there's lung issues, cancer of the lung, or COPD. And I was like stopping it, and then it stopped for a while, and Stacie and I are setting things up, and then Stacie goes, well, I'm gonna go out to the car, and I'm like, she's back again, so But I will say your mom's very proud of all that you've overcome, and that you've learned a lot on the streets. And she said, and I'm sorry that you had to do that. And she said, family is supposed to be family regardless of whatever happens. And she said, but there was so much, you moved away so quickly from us. And she said, that's what I thought, is like, you're like way over here and we're over here. She said, but you know what? And she goes, and looking back, I noticed that we were the ones pushing you away because you didn't fit. You were the square in the circle, or the circle in the square.
Always.
And she said, I'm sorry that we ended up doing that to you. She goes, I'm hoping, and I don't think this, but I think your relatives may have to look back at certain things, as well as you and me and everybody else, but look back on the way that we treated people and make amends to things. We may not see it and we'll go, I really did that. I really acted like that. And then, yeah, we did. But again, we're learning here. I just, anyway, so that's my thing on that. But yeah, there's a lot that you're going to be going through in the future. And, I think it's amazing. Your mom's talking about your car. She's shaking her head. Is there something work that needs to be done to your car? Okay. She's just shaking her head.
She's probably looking outside. You're driving a 2006 Ford Crown Victoria.
Oh, are you really?
Yeah.
And it works nice, or is there an oil change, or should you go and there's a tick or something under the?
Yeah, in the front end.
Okay.
I can talk to you about that after.
Okay, but she's talking about getting that fixed. Okay.
Yeah, so I don't drive off the road or
well,
my wheels fall
it has
off.
to be really quickly here, I think, sooner than what you think. It has to be like looked at faster than you think.
Okay.
Well, my daughter is telling me to
Okay.
have her bring it down, order your part and bring it down.
Yeah, I think it needs to be looked at.
Okay.
And I don't mean that as like, oh, woe is me. There's going to be. I just think that she's kind of saying you can't put it off any longer.
Okay.
The procrastination thing. Are you good at procrastination? Did you get an A in procrastination?
I did. I worked best like when I was in high school. I put my butt through college. I graduated on honor roll. And then put my butt through college, and I always worked best under pressure. Like I did my best work when I knew it was due tomorrow, and I had all week to do it, but I worked best doing it the night before, and I did really well.
Isn't that crazy?
Like when I went to college, when I did the 12 credits, I didn't do as well other than the times that I carried 21 credits in a term.
Yeah.
I did better under that.
There's a lot of people that operate better when they're juggling 20 balls versus one.
And that's why having 5 kids, and having to maintain them and their friends and the house and appointments.
It was natural for you.
I was really good at it. I liked it.
5 kids.
5 kids.
Wow, no kidding.
Yep.
What are the age groups on that one, or what's the?
3 girls, 2 boys. So there's 35, 26, 24, 21, and Lydia just turned 19 on February 20th.
What?
And I wish I could have 2 more.
What?
Love it.
Got grandbabies coming, I'm sure.
I already have 2.
Do you?
Artemis is 14, and Eliana just turned 3 in November.
Wow, no kidding. Do you think that your mother would be, and this is her, would be part of their lives? Because she said, that's the thing I missed.
She bailed out on my life
it.
and her grandchildren on my end because of her way of thinking.
And was there addiction on her side?
Oh yeah,
okay.
Addiction. Right. There's addiction.
I think that's on here. I don't know.
Yeah, where I come from, both sides of alcoholics and.
Okay. Sorry, yeah. I think I remember him like I got like.
Yeah, so I've always had to watch that. I had probably alcoholic tendencies. I remember in the beginning of my senior year of high school, and then something bad happened that fall in my senior year, and from that gate, I'm like, nope, I'm done.
Yeah.
And excelled in school always, but and even today, I still have to. I keep it in check, and you know, I don't know if I can say I'm an alcoholic because I have family history of it.
Yeah.
But I'm not an active alcoholic.
You're
I'm in
aware
tune
of
to that.
that. You're aware
And I
of
take
that.
control of that.
Yeah, she did that. I don't know if you want to read what I was writing on here. Do you have your glasses? Do you want glasses? Do you need
wait.
glasses?
No, well, maybe. Jump.
So this one, Jumping Jelly
wow.
Bean.
Wow, you
And
got that
Mama?
right.
Which one is
The
that?
southern states.
Okay.
Jumping my bean. What's that?
Jumping Jelly Bean.
You were a jumping jelly bean, probably.
I don't
She
know.
talks about the jelly beans, and then she
Jelly
talks about
beans.
jumping jelly beans, like up, 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 up.
I don't know about that, other than we always moved everywhere.
Okay, that might be it.
But the southern states, that was a huge thing, because that right there, it's sort of a story, but yeah. So I'm the middle of two other sisters, and back in 1977, my parents divorced a year prior, and there was never any closure ever given. So one morning, afternoon, whatever, us three girls, we're all living with my mom. Us three girls were living in the couch. Next thing you know, my dad's in the back door. My big sister Karen just leaves, no explanation, and Martha and I just continue on with playing with our stuffed animals, and to find out Karen just decided to go live with our dad in Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. And then a year passed, and under the stress of being a single mom, I guess, and my mom was drinking, Martha and I was just turning 10. Martha was 6. We came home from one.
So she was 9.
Yeah.
9.
So
she was
summer YMCA day camp, and I remember Mom she asked, so how was camp? Oh, fine. And she clicked, and she says, you effing kids, get out of here. And she shooed me and Martha out to the hallway and locked the door behind us. And I took Martha to Congress Street at a payphone.
Oh my God.
And I go, Martha, and so I called my grandmother, who lived on Wellington in Portland, and I love her dearly, my grandma. And she came and picked Martha and I up, and the next day we're on an airplane to go live with my dad in Atlanta, Georgia, who is new married to Mickey and had 2 sons. So here, Martha and I, with the clothes on our back, were now in with my father, my stepmother, my 2 stepbrothers, and my older sister Karen, who had been there a year. And then just things evolved, and not the best way, but so that's southern states, Marietta, Georgia,
that's pretty
Arlington, Texas.
Wow.
Southern.
That's pretty cool.
Did you say Mexico too? New Mexico?
Well, Albuquerque, New Mexico, Mesa, Arizona, San Diego, California, Minnesota, Connecticut.
So do you have a state? No, kidding. I would say you have a state that you haven't been in, but yeah.
The Dakotas.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Self-medication.
That self-medicating is there's somebody rely on drinking.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Wood solitude. That's me. That I go to the woods for my sanity and my soul.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was little, I was like 5. We were living in Kennebunkport, Maine, and I actually just visited the neighborhood a couple years ago because it held really strong, like going back to the good child memory.
Mm-hmm.
And in the little part of the woods, there was this huge rock with moss, and I'd go alone at 4 and 5 years old, and those trolls that we used to have with the hair.
Yeah.
I used to spend hours playing in the woods on the rocks with those trolls.
Isn't that fun?
But the woods is huge for me.
I thought them creepy though.
I always played.
They weren't back then.
Yeah. What's that? Heart something? Made heart?
Made heart? I say. Male heart.
Male heart? What's that?
Don't know. I was writing as she was telling me.
Male
Anyway.
heart. Plays with hair.
You play with hair.
She
You
kept
play with my
going.
hair all the time.
She goes plays with hair.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
You play with mine all the time.
I do. I stroke hair, and I'm always like this. Everybody thinks probably conceited because I always do this. This is just like a click or something.
But you come
Stop
and play with
messing
my
with your
hair too.
Yeah, let me stroke your hair. Oh no. What is this? Crinkles? No. Oh yeah, we do the bunny nose.
Crinkle nose. Oh my gosh!
My
I
mom
had
and
no idea what that was, and I was like,
My mom and
okay.
I
all right.
both know how to do that. So we do that both at each other.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's funny.
The bunny nose.
I had no idea what she was talking about.
Yeah.
I had no idea. I was kind of
Something to do with a nose. Mom, what's wrong with the nose?
Mom's here. It's pretty interesting, that she came about, and
So I hope this was helpful for you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Stop.
you can have that if you want.
Okay.
You can have that paper.
Okay.
And dancer, she wrote dancer up here. She wanted me to keep going, and I said no, I gotta go. And then that's when you came in, and I was like,
Oh yeah, the dancer. I'm a dancer now. I do burlesque.
oh, nice.
1940s elegant burlesque style. Stacie saw my show on December 21st. But the dancer part, when I was 4 and 5, my grandmother Nana, my mom's mom, had an apartment on one High Street right in Portland.
Yeah.
And she had a couple of friends. Didn't know that they were gay then, but they were gay, and so much fun. And we would always go up to the 3rd level of her apartment, and they'd either play the piano, ragtime piano, and we'd always dance to like the Alley Cat, Docktown Strutters Ball.
Wow.
So, yeah, that's it was a huge part of my life.
No kidding.
The dancing and doing that. It was good childhood memory for me.
So when she was writing dancer, it wasn't break dancing that
No.
she was writing about. She was writing because I remember feeling fluid in the movements of dance.
Oh yeah, we were always upstairs
Wow.
doing that.
That's
and
amazing.
I was in swing choir too in New Mexico. It was a special singing choir group we had to audition for, and we went to Allstate. So not only did you sing, there was always choreography and dance moves too.
So when you sing, do you have a lower register that
I'm
you
a high
prefer?
soprano, high C.
So high C, okay.
Like Phantom of the Opera, but I've been doing lower, right?
Yeah, it actually sounds really well.
Because they're talking about you're now into that lower frequency of
and it sounds wonderful too.
I've been taking on songs at karaoke and other places, and more of the lower vibrational in my vocal
but
parts.
it's opening up your lower range, right? Or your lower the lower part of your lobes, or your
Yes.
Wow, really? That is fantastic. That's really exciting, actually. I think this is pretty interesting. I think it's interesting to find somebody that I don't know anything about you, and didn't, and even if she told me, I'd be going whatever, not that you're not important, but but what they think is important is much different than what we think is important. And she just said, I think I got somebody for you. And so I said, okay, well.
Yeah, that was me. I was like, I
think I got somebody for you. And she goes, I think you're going to like her. And I'm like, all right. When I do reading, it doesn't matter if I like a person or not. I just do the reading, because there is no like or dislike from them over there. There's no right or wrong. There's nothing.
White.
Yeah, there's nothing. So it's a good balance when you come in and you go, this is the way your mother wanted to be portrayed, or she wanted me to see her as somebody who's come to an epiphany, like, I get my life, I get what I should have been doing, and I didn't do that, and that there are people in my life that were supposed to be in there to help turn me around to what I wanted, and I didn't listen to them. So she said I wasn't ready, but I put you in a position of difficulty all your life. And so when you get into a relationship, you're already geared up for difficult. Like you already anticipate it being a little bit of a challenge, or jumping through hoops or something like that. And she says, and that shouldn't happen to her anymore. And she's sorry about that. It's not like, but she's not going to go, I want you to accept my apology. She says, I want you to know that I'm trying to be better over here. I'm trying to understand where I'm at. And, but, however you take things, however you want to communicate with her, she's more than willing to do it. She doesn't want confrontation when you think of her like you're thinking happy thoughts with friends and then, oh, my mother. Like she feels like I don't want to be thought of it that way, but it's up to you. It's your own self-healing, by the way. And she wants you to be proud of the people that you're with, that they add to you and not take from you. Because she's a taker too, you know that, right? And so she said, I took. And she goes, I know I shouldn't have been doing that, but I did it. And she goes, I'm very sorry for that. But she goes, I can't change things now. But again, you can choose to have her in your life when you decide to come back, or you can say, I would rather have a different lifestyle. Because you're not a good, I always say we're always students in this life. When we're here on earth, we're all students, right? I'm not a very good student in some subjects. And I'm learning, I'm learning. But I find that people are very, in the nowadays, people are more willing to think of things in the negative than they are in the positive. So those of us who can stay in the positive a little bit longer than those, I'm more than.
Well, as I keep trying to tell Allison, flip the narrative. Just say, okay, like someone who's leaving, still my friend, and they're going on a vacation. I'll see them when I see them. I'll talk to them when I talk to them, and flip the narrative instead of being negative. Going, oh, I'm never gonna see him again, and da 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 da, or something like that. Just flip it.
It's hard though, because that's been my life. Like people
really
have you think that they're gonna be there because they're family or whatever, and then you'll never see them again. They just turn the other way and just walk.
But you're supposed to learn something from everybody, so they come and go out of your life. And if you understand these contracts that we have, it makes it easier to understand why they are now gone. It's not that you did anything bad or wrong or anything. They just come in, teach you what you need to learn, and then move out. And when we learn to accept that, it makes it that much easier to.
I always call it being fired from your job.
Like I wouldn't like negative about
point blank, like you're.
How about you're released from your duties?
I've been given my pink slip. So, but I think that our life has a title. Hi, my name is Jennifer. I am a sister. I'm a mother. I'm a daughter. I am an aunt. I am this. Right. These are all my titles that I have. Right. But when somebody decides not to be part of your life, that title gets pulled off.
Well, I think it is more like too, like you think of, because it's different levels, but you go onto a train and the conductor asks you for your ticket. You've had an interaction with him. You give him the ticket and he's now gone. But you don't feel anything about that. You just, okay, that happened. So
it's a thing. And I know that you've experienced this too, is that when you grow up in an environment where it's not a healthy growing environment for you, it might be for others in your family, but you're always striving for that acceptance. You don't have to love me, just accept me, right? You're making bargaining chips. Oh, I'll do the dishes for 5 weeks straight.
Why me? Why am I not? Because my sister Renee had my father's attention. He adored her, but me, I got the hand, the belt, the nothing. I had no. And so when he hugged me once, and I had no feelings, so I didn't know. I'm searching my database in my brain. What do I do? What do I do?
Yeah.
But I always was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I not? And he had told me, you're just like your mother. Yeah. To say, and it was always something negative, like I was negative. So I grew up with that all the time. What's wrong with me? Why am I experiencing this? Well, why does she get that? What's special about her that I don't have?
It's because the energy matched.
Right. But I mean, now I get like, okay, everyone is, dealing with these contracts and understand that they all have a role to play, a part in my play. And he's the bad guy that comes in, the evil guy that comes in, and then he's the villain and then goes, and I'm the hero, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you put it in those perspectives, it makes it a little bit easier for you to understand what is transpiring.
I think life throws us into these curveballs, and what we want is acceptance and,
Love.
camaraderie and protection and love. We want the basics, we want to be loved, we want to be
Safe.
fed, and we want to be taken care of. And a lot of that doesn't happen. And I know that I've had people say to me that, it's because of the era that you grew up in. And I go, it doesn't really matter. You're supposed to be doing that regardless, whatever age you're at, and it doesn't happen. And so I don't know. My family certainly didn't travel. Yours did. So you're starting over. Every place you go, you're starting
Mhm.
over. So that's what you're used to.
Mhm.
And you're starting over with relationships and everything else. And each state has a different way of treating their family, right? So you're going doing something new, and now you're trying to figure out where the direction is. But all in all, I think whatever occurred in our past certainly has a way of molding our thought processes. And if we keep doing what the past was, which didn't work for us, we need to really think about how to change it.
Well,
And that's my
that's what I
genre
did
right
with
now.
my mom. My mom was like hands off on us. And they
Yeah.
really, and she's like, she makes a comment like, I shouldn't have been a mom. I just was all this stuff.
A little late.
But I made a decision with my children, my girls. I was like, okay, I want to be a part of life, and every all the time we're all in communication. But it was me making the decision for the next generation, because generations they taught their children this way, that way, this way. But I said, no, I want a relationship with my children. I want to be a part of their life. I want them to grow and experience.
And they did.
So
They did.
but I was me making the decision.
Yeah.
Because all that hurt
Choices.
behind you.
Tough time. But I think, I don't want to get this to be too long for us. But I think life in a way, mediums have a way of getting into the nitty gritty. We can get into any aspect I can get into any aspect of life and open it up and expose different levels of that. But I say you've already lived it, and why should I go into that to relive it again and again and again? So I don't go into that as deep as what people would think that I do. But I think our life has a massive lesson each moment. I mean, you think about it, and I've said this hundreds of times. We have 60 seconds in a minute, and think of how many seconds we have in a 24-hour day, right? Those are the opportunities we get to change every 60 seconds. Every second we can change. And what do? Are we doing the same thing? Some of us are and some of us aren't. So it's about molding and changing and not staying in the past a long time, because it's not going to work well with us in the future, because the future is changing, and we are going to be getting into a whole lot of different modalities of communication with people. And
But I do think, looking and reflecting back on your past, sometimes something will pop in your head, and it will be um, a revelation or something, like a learning, like I got it. And then you can move forward with those lessons learned.
Yeah.
But sometimes we don't reflect, and especially in the moment, you're
Right.
definitely not. Maybe the next day, but sometimes even months down the road, it'll just pop up, and you're like, oh, I'm thinking it from a different point of view, and it changes the whole what transpired. And I'm like, oh, I feel really bad. I feel sorry. No, I didn't say that. Or sometimes I'll walk out later on, and I'll, like, even later on that day, I'll be like, oh, I didn't say thank you. I think I didn't say thank you to that person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so I feel bad.
So I think the people have a tendency of, I don't expect rewards for anything that I do. I just say, I'm going to pass off the information, and that's up to you. You're doing the hard work. I'm not doing any of it. I'm just bringing it out. I'm scratching a surface that definitely is like an iceberg, but here's the information, and talking to your mom, is it beneficial for you? It feels good because it feels good to her and it feels good to you, about the balance of what you two have gone through. And you've had numerous memories with her, even when she wasn't there. You had memories of her. because it's just, but, and again, her correction of the past, she wished she could be different, but it's not going to happen for her. She's going to be who she is. And, but, I think we should draw this to a little bit of a close.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. Do you have any questions? Because
No.
She's going, had enough right now.
Well, maybe you should give the audience how to get a hold of you, or you want me to put it in comments later.
You could put it in the comments because it would hang out a little bit longer there versus if you're like me trying to redo everything and write it down as it's being said.
Maybe you might want to just conclude my name is this, and if you want to get a hold of me.
She's going to retrain me every single time around that because it's necessary. I'm Jennifer Laflin. I'm a medium psychic. I'm located here in Scarborough, Maine. Address is 7 Oak Hill Terrace, Suite 110 in Scarborough. And you can get on my website, jenniferlaflin.com, to set up an appointment if you'd like. But it's always a joy to talk to people, and I welcome your comments, good, bad, or indifferent. I welcome them, and we're going to try to be doing this quite a bit more, or at least once a week. For me, that's quite a bit. That's a commitment.
Yeah.
I'm not into commitments, but it's okay. I'll do it. But we're going to be doing this, and we welcome you to join us.
Okay, and thank you, Jen. Thank you, Allison, for your time.
Yes, thank you. Really.
God bless everyone, and have a great day.
Yes, thank you. Yeah. Well, thank you for coming and being a part of this. Really, it's not very comforting to be locked into a place.
It's okay.
And, have your life exposed.